So we are going to get into linear inequalities. Now, we all know what an equation means. So if we have x is equal to 0, or silly example, x is equal to 2, we know that the value of x has to be 2. That is the only possibility. So you have one exact solution. Now, if we have x greater than 2, then I have infinite solutions. So the second case is what we call an inequality. And inequalities have infinite solutions. So if the equal sign in an equation is replaced by a greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, then we have an inequality. So let me take x greater than 2 by itself. So since I don't see an equal to in the inequality, in the sense there is a line underneath in those two cases, that would mean greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. But here we don't have an equal sign, so we are going to put an open dot. An open dot means that value is not included, but what are all the possible solutions? The possible solutions are everything above 2. So that is the graph for x greater than 2. And note that is an open dot. Suppose we consider y is greater than 4. We're simply looking at the y-axis by itself. So I could draw it as y let me put greater than or equal to, so we have a different case. Since I put equal to, I'm going to have a closed dot, and everything above will be a solution. But in math, we don't like to look at x's and y's separately, because we have the xy plane. We have to connect them together. So how do we do it as a function? In other words, on the xy plane. So if I want to draw x greater than 2, I believe I have a template somewhere here. Ah, there it is. would be. Paste. So x greater than 2. So we know that there has to be an open dot. So we have to put it in the Cartesian plane. An open dot would simply mean a dotted line and not a solid line. So a dotted line is passing through 2. And everything above 2 will be a solution. So all of this will be a solution for x greater than 2. So we are looking at this inequality from the perspective of a function. So we're looking at it from the perspective of having both variables together and putting it on the xy plane. So you've got to see the difference between the top part and the bottom part. In the top part, we just looked at x separately and y separately. Over here, we are looking at them together. Now I'm going to draw y greater than or equal to 4 as well. But this time I'm going to use or draw it from the perspective of the plane. I am going to draw a solid line because I have greater than or equal to. And it is at 4 . Excuse me, this is y equals to not x. Y equals 4 and everything above 4. So my solution would be all of those. So that's how we would represent the inequality in the two-dimensional XY plane. Our objective now is to plot a linear inequality. We already did it once. If you look at that solid line, that is simply a horizontal line. So we did it already. But now we're just going to consider a linear equation to see if we can shade and get an answer for a linear function. So let's see. Okay, so here we want to graph a linear inequality. In other words, we've got to graph a line and find the region that corresponds to that line. So I'll show you how to do this using the calculator also, but let me do it manually first. The key point here is that the right-hand side must look like a linear function. In other words, it has to look like mx plus b. Since I don't have that here, the very first step is to move that 2x to the other side, or negative 2x. It becomes positive 2x. Now I've got the mx plus b form that I so desire. It is time to graph the inequality. We need 2 points to draw a line. Well, we've got 5 already because 5 is the y-intercept. I see an equal there, so I could put a closed dot and I could draw a dotted line. So at 5, going to put a close, I didn't mean to say a dotted line, I meant to say a solid line. Closed dot, and we're going to do a solid line because we have equal to. We need another point, so let's just pick -1. If I pick -1 and plug it here in 2x plus 5, x -1 will give me 2 times -1 plus 5, which is +3. -2 would give me 2 times -2 plus 5. That is 5 minus 4. I'll get 1. I just need 2 points to connect the line, but I'm using 3 so that I could draw better. So -1, we have 3. -2, we'll have 1. And I'm going to draw a line, and it's solid because I have greater than or equal to. So that is my line. Now we have to find a solution, or points that would satisfy this inequality. Since we have greater than, everything above the line will satisfy the condition or the inequality. You can verify this by taking x and y values and plugging them in the inequality. So any point here, there, and beyond will satisfy the inequality. Again, if it is greater than or equal to, it is a solid line. Less than or equal to, solid line. Strictly greater than, dotted line. Strictly less than, dotted line. Now we want to graph the linear inequality y less than 3x plus 4. So very first step is to come up with points, and we know the y-intercept is 4, but since we don't have an equal sign in our inequality, I'm going to put an open dot. And the line that we are going to draw, it would be a dotted line. So if I plug in -1 for x, y would be 4 minus 3, which is +1. So that point would be right there. If I plugged in -2, 3 minus 2 plus 4 would equal -6 plus 4. I'll get -2. It's right there. All we have to do now is draw a dotted line through. So nothing on that line, no point on that line could satisfy the inequality. And every point below that dotted line will satisfy the inequality. So we can pick anything from here any number from here, and it will satisfy the inequality. So here we have y greater than 2x minus 3. We have a linear function on that side. I know the y-intercept, which is -3. And it is a greater than sign, so I have to put an open dot. And the line that I'm going to draw is going to be a dotted line. I need a bunch of, at least one more point for me to draw that line. So let me pick two. If I pick 2, 2 times 2 minus 3, which will give us 4 minus 3, we will have 1. If I picked 4, 2 times 4 minus 3, 2 times 4 is 8, 8 minus 3 is 5. And it is a dotted line. And you look at the sign is greater than. So everything over here will be a solution. But do keep in mind, since we put a dotted line, nothing on that line, no point on that line will be a solution, but everything above that line will be a solution. So I'm going to use the calculator and sketch the last one, which is 2x minus 3. So I have 2x minus 3, and if I graph it, I'm simply going to get a line. But our inequality is y bigger than 2x minus 3. So how do we get that bigger part? So keep pressing the arrow and go to the far left. You can see the cursor is going back and forth. Now press enter, you get a solid line. Press enter again. It is giving you a triangle, a shaded triangle that is going up. And If you press that, it is going to give you a triangle that is going down. We want y values that are bigger. As you keep on going, it will tell you if you want a solid line or a dotted line and so forth. You can pick those, but all I'm worried about is the region. So let me go ahead and enter. Oops. Move to the far right, enter, graph. And you can see, since it is greater than, it shades that region. And that is exactly the region that I had in my graph. So you can verify your answer with the graph at any given time.